Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Wrath of the Black Manta for the Nintendo Entertainment System. In this 1990 action platformer from Taito, it's the Black Manta Ninja versus a drug syndicate called Drat, which is out there kidnapping and brainwashing kids into being dope dealers. On a scale from nice to not very nice, I'd put that at not very nice. Wrath of the Black Manta has 5 stages to fight through. Each is filled with a mixed roster of enemy ninja, gunmen, and the occasional stage hazard like wrecking balls. Early in the game, there's some correlation between which enemies occupy which stage, but by the end, there's really no rhyme or reason to it, especially when it comes to the bosses. A big gangster thug in the city level? That checks out. Transforming ninja in Japan? Yup. A voodoo warrior in Rio de Janeiro? Okay. And New York City again with, robot walkers. Well, you lost me there, but that was my favorite boss fight, so I really can't complain. And how do you fight these enemies anyway? Well, your main attack is a ninja star projectile, but you can also use special ninja arts by holding the action button to load your power meter. It's a bit confusing, but I looked it up online and learned that the direction you hold when powering up determines which ability you can use, and a submenu lets you swap out new ones. And while it's not entirely necessary to use any of these ninja arts throughout the majority of the game, you have to employ 4 of them in the correct order to beat the final boss. The combination I figured out was the spider tunneling ability first, then the missile shot, shadow clone, and fire ring to finish him off. It took a lot of trial and error to find the right abilities in the right order without accidentally making a direct attack on the drug lord boss, since he's holding a kid captive as a shield in front of him. On a scale from nice to not very nice, this also falls under not very nice. And speaking of captured kids, your other objective in the game is to rescue them all from behind various doors throughout each level. There are some other interesting gameplay deviations too, like shoot-'em-up sections where you zip around on a kite in your best impression of a flying squirrel of death, and elevator sections where you try and shoot down bad guys in a third-person perspective. Emphasis on try, because I was real bad at this. But in my defense, the controls in this game aren't exactly the most responsive. Mr. Black Manta hasn't had his morning coffee yet, and he's going to take his sweet time to throw those ninja stars no matter how frantically you press the B button. The in-game graphics here are nice. They portray all the enemies and locales pretty well. But the cutscene graphics are... ooh. Let's just say 8-bit pixel art is not the best medium for highly detailed, stylized renderings of the human face. Children in particular. These zombie-faced kids will haunt my nightmares for years to come. Also, half of them look at least 35 years old. Why does that one kid have gray hair? Anyway, moving on to sound design. It doesn't feel particularly inspired, but the background chiptunes and attack sounds are perfectly serviceable. I just wish there was a noise to indicate when you take damage. Most of the time, I didn't even know I was getting hit by an enemy until my life bar was fully drained. The most novel aspect of Wrath of the Black Manta is that it's clearly a product of the late 80s war on drugs. Of the many methods used at the time to deter kids from drug use, video games are among the most questionable. Don't get me wrong, I think drugs are a nasty habit for weak people, but anti-drug marketing that tries to be cool and trendy isn't going to sway anybody. Kids are notoriously recalcitrant, and they'll do the opposite of whatever authority figures tell them. Nothing will get a group of high school potheads clean faster than their guidance counselor joining them back behind the bleachers in his khakis and New Balance sneakers going, "Hey fam, puff puff pass, am I right?" As far as this game's difficulty goes, I feel like it's really a matter of how well you can acclimate to the less than responsive controls, and how much patience you have for monotonous stage layouts. I was personally struggling with it, so I opted to use save states, largely to avoid all of that dreaded repetition. When I tried playing legit and needed to redo a stage after game over, I found myself skipping past the rooms where you need to go in and save the kidnapped children. Sorry kiddos, I know you're being held hostage and all, but I'm on a tight schedule and saving you would be inconvenient, so I'm just gonna not do that. I know I've been hard on this game for its controls and its graphics and stuff, but I have to say that my favorite part of Black Manta is how all those subpar elements mix together into a sort of video game comedy of errors. As someone with a soft spot for poorly made rubber suit monster movies, I tend to love media that falls into the so bad it's good territory, and Wrath of the Black Manta fits the bill there nicely. Overall, I'm glad I quelled the Black Manta's wrath, and saved a bunch of kids from being turned into brainwashed drug dealers. In spite of its flaws, and in many ways because of its flaws, on a scale from nice to not so nice, I'd give this game a solid nice.